Hi, I'm Ross.
And I'm Caleb. Welcome to another 10-Minute Topics. Our topics for today are events and networking. I'm starting our 10-minute timer now. Boop. I just came from an event today at the Google Launchpad space in downtown San Francisco. It was a sold-out event on Eventbrite. It was free, but you couldn't get tickets anymore. So you want to know how I got into the event? I simply showed up anyway. The truth is, a lot of these events, people sign up to them and then don't show up at all. So if you show up at the door, say that you signed up, they don't find your name tag, they let you in anyway, because it looks really bad for them to turn away people who are eager to learn about their products. And the secret is, when I got inside, about half the seats were empty. So there's plenty of space in these events. Even if you don't have a ticket, you can still make your way in and learn. So that's the helpful hint that I learned today.
Next, once you get into one of these events, one of the best things to do is talk to experienced groups of people. Most people, when they show up, I did this a lot when I first came to the city, I would talk to people my own age at events that were geared toward people my own age, hoping to find some people to work on a project with so that I could take off. But the truth is, most of the people that show up in the city that go to these events are just like you. They have no clue what they're doing. They don't know the scene of Silicon Valley. And if you look competent, most of them will rely on you for direction. And I was asked a number of times, hey, do you want to work on this project with me? Which really translated mostly to, hey, will you do this project for me? Because I have no clue how to do it. So I left a lot of those events with a lot of business cards that people had given me, but really no interest in working with those people because I wouldn't learn anything from them and I didn't know the spaces that they were interested in getting involved in. So to flip that on its head, when you walk into an event, the best thing you can do is to walk up to the oldest or most senior person there and just introduce yourself. You know, if you're walking up to a group of 3 or 4 people, just have a quick one-liner like, hey, can I drop into your conversation? Of course they're going to say yes, because they'd look pretty bad if they didn't. And then just take it off.
And that's an important one-liner. I think it's the best icebreaker out there. Everyone thinks that they have to provide information or value to a conversation that they join. What you really need to do is find 2 people talking together, 3 people talking together, and say, hey, mind if I join your group? Don't even have to say, mind if I join your conversation. Just join your group. Can I stand here? Would you give me permission? And no one's going to turn you down. More times than not, they'll say, sure, and then they'll look at you and say, so what do you do? What brings you to this event? And if you want to be polite, you can say something like, well, I didn't mean to interrupt your conversation. I heard you were talking about goldfish. Like, what was that about? Also, if they say, no, join the conversation, what do you do? Then you can explain what you do and feel like you haven't actually interrupted. It's a great way to join a conversation.
Which brings us to our next step. You really need to have that 30-second introduction of yourself, a story, because in those first 30 seconds of talking, the person's either going to say, this is definitely someone that's worth listening to and is a valuable member of this conversation, or this is a needy little kid that doesn't know what's going on or how to interact with people that are going to teach them, and I'm going to migrate away from this conversation to find a more fruitful territory.
And that 30-second introduction can certainly be, it should be about you, what you do, and you should hold yourself in very high value. You shouldn't undersell yourself, you shouldn't oversell yourself, but you need to tell them what you do confidently and feel proud about what you do. But then at the end of your 30-second pitch, you want to turn it back on them. They didn't really come here to talk about you. They came here to meet people and have a conversation, which is two-sided. So ask them what they do. Ask them what they came to the event for, maybe about something they're wearing, but really turn it back onto them. Bring it back into the group. Can I make that any more overstated?
I think you said that like 6 times. So
it's not about you.
I think we're good. But you can also fold in what you do into that question. Like, and how does that relate to what you do? Oh, you work in marketing. I work in this. Like, we work with a marketing team. So we're just going to practice. So my 30-second intro, when I walk up in the city, they ask, so what do you do? And I say, well, I work at a premier design firm in marketing. And while I'm there, I'm learning how to teach and use design thinking tactics to create new products. If I just say I'm in marketing, that limits myself to a marketer. If I say that I'm also in design, then they get a little curious and they're like, wow, design and marketing. And then if I say create new products, then they're like, well, what gives you the actual ability to create those? which I can then, usually in a follow-up question, lead into the fact that I have an engineering background. I'm skilled at marketing. I'm learning design. All of the ideas that flush out being a product manager or another area. So people like to see that you're multifaceted, and then they can jump on one of those and start a conversation in any of those areas. Also, when you're telling them your pitch, you don't need to prove that you're smart at any of the things you do. You just need to prove that or say that you do them, and say that you do them with confidence. Like, am I really a fleshed out designer? I've been doing it for 7 months. I could hold my own in a conversation about design, but I'm not going to go in there and in the first 30 seconds talk about a lot of projects I've been working on, because they're literally going to look at you and go, what is the point of what you're saying? So clean, concise, get them interested, and let them ask what comes next.
Yeah, people really want topics. This is a bit of a tangent, but if your boss asks you, can you do X? You don't have to explain to him the steps you're going to take. You just have to say yes. So same when you meet someone new. Tell them you're a designer. You don't have to prove that you're a designer or tell them exactly what you've done. If they're interested, they'll ask you more. So my 30-second demo, we're coming up on 4 minutes here, so I'll keep it concise, is I build Amazon Alexa skills for different companies. I've built some for video editing agencies, some startups and other groups, and people say, oh, so you're a designer? You're like, yeah, I design the voice conversations, the UI, make it intuitive and flowing, and then I also follow up with I'm a programmer and I build the back ends. So that's my quick pitch.
Which is also multifaceted. You do the front end, you do the design, you do some linguistics, you do the back end. Oh, you know how to program? Cool. And you can talk to people? Cool. And you're hustling with me right now? Wow, very outgoing. Someone to invest in.
So that's the beginning of the conversation. Let's fast forward through all the small talk. You ask them what they do, they ask you what you do, you bond over something. The end of the conversation, that's where we want to be. And that's where you get their contact information, they give you a business card, they ask for your business card. So here's a few tips. Never give someone your business card unprovoked. It's like you walking into a bar and being like trying to give someone your phone number. Like, personally, I'm a dude. If I handed someone my phone number, they'd be like, what are you doing? This is weird. You want them to ask for your business card, because the person who asks for your business card sees value in you. They're interested in talking with you in the future. And so as a young person in Silicon Valley, you want to keep talking with this person until they see some sort of value in you. And obviously, if they don't end up seeing value in you, you don't want to keep talking with them. You want to go find someone else who you can provide value to. So that's the business card trick. Don't give it unless they ask. So we're just checking up on the time here. We've got 2 minutes and 10 seconds left.
So I'll wrap that into a larger topic, which is you don't need to go to meetups to meet smart people. You can literally meet smart people anywhere. So whenever you have the opportunity and you're standing on a street corner, you're walking in a building, you're going up in an elevator and you only have 20 seconds, this is where elevator pitch comes from, just start talking to people. A story that I have is about 2 months ago, I was riding in an Uber with some random guy that I'd never met and will never see again. And I started making fun of him because he was talking about where he went to college, and we had a good laugh at each other. Because if you can make fun of yourself, then it lowers the barrier between two people. And then in that conversation, I just asked him, so what do you do for work? He told me that he was a leading product manager at a leading tech company. I asked him, how do you get a job at a company like that? And he just pointed at himself and he goes, you know me. And that turned into a job, a interview 2 weeks later for a job that I was grossly unqualified for, an interview that was 4 hours long. And in that interview, I was introduced to 8 really high-tech people that taught me a lot about an industry that I wasn't really that familiar with. So did I get a job out of this? No, but I met someone great. I learned about what it would be like to have a job in that role. And now I have contacts, at that company if I ever think about working there in the future.
I've also met some interesting people out of the blue. I met someone in an Uber after I locked myself out of my apartment with no shoes or keys and just my phone. I hopped into an Uber. It was an Uber pool. We pulled up to another block. A guy opens the back door and tries to sit on me and then goes, oh, whoa, man, sorry, I didn't realize this was an Uber pool. Gets in the other door, and we strike up a conversation about real estate. He's a real estate agent. sells big houses, said he'd invite me to the next open house that he had, and maybe I'd meet some cool Silicon Valley people. Locking myself out of my house is a topic for another story. We're coming up on 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. This is the end of our 10-minute topic on... Sorry, I gotta stop this timer. 10-minute topics on events and networking. I hope you enjoyed it. Feel free to join us in the next podcast. And if you have any suggestions for how we can improve different topics you want to hear, we'll try and stop stuttering. But we're getting better, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one.